You're invited to imagine what's next. What the next view you wake up to will be. Where your next adventures will start from. Your perfect space to entertain. And your sanctuary to unwind in. As you begin to imagine your new place, we'll be here to help you find it. Because nothing compares to what's next. Sotheby'sRealty.com.
Ayodhya is all set for the historic Ram Temple consecration ceremony on 22nd January. And the once sleepy, dusty town of Uttar Pradesh is buzzing with excitement. Welcome everyone. On the Urban Agenda today, we bring you Ayodhya's shining temple economy, who's betting on it and why. What opportunities does this massive urban makeover of the city throw up, not just for new investors, but for the locals as well? Our panelists today, we have with us Dikshu Kukreja from Kukreja Architects, who etched the blueprint for Ayodhya's uniform facade look. We also have with us Mandeep Lamba, CEO of HVS ANAROCK, who will decipher the real estate tourism potential of the city. And of course, in a while, we'll be joined by Samujjawal Ghosh, who heads Abhinandan Lodha's real estate group, which is of course making big news and headlines for acquiring 50-acre parcel there. Now, before we head into the discussion, here's a quick look at Ayodhya's urban transformation. If I just take you through some of the key graphics, it's a 85,000 crore rupee makeover plan over the next 10 years. 178 ongoing development projects after all the work which has already happened. And what has happened? Maharishi Valmiki International Airport is now operational. It's being spoken about for a long time. Ayodhya Dham Junction is a revamped, swanky new railway station. There has been a whole 13 kilometers road to the temple which has been revamped: Rampath, Dharmapath, Sri Ram Janmabhoomi Path and Bhakti Path. And Ayodhya's 2-kilometer long Saryu riverfront, it's an ongoing project. Already there are light and sound shows ongoing there and a lot of selfies on Twitter and Instagram from that riverfront. Okay, let me first go straight to Dikshu because he's been involved in this makeover. Dikshu, you've witnessed the urban makeover of Ayodhya. You know, I still see the images which are part absolutely stunning. And then there is a large part of Ayodhya which is still that old Ayodhya with slightly rundown homes, single-storied, maybe, 1.5-storied. So give me a sense in terms of, is 10% of the city transformed right now? Is it larger? What's really happening in terms of livability perspective?
That's a good word you said. I think the first and foremost important aspect for us when the vision plan of this city was created was the livability aspect. So I'm glad you just took that, coined that term and brought that to the fore, because this is a remarkable transformation that is taking place. And I think it's going to be really setting an example, not just for Indian cities and not just for temple towns, but I think world over one can see we are able to demonstrate, I think very successfully here, that how India knows how to really retain and celebrate its cultural ethos, its historical character of a city, and yet make it modern. So really the vision of this project has been, in a sense, set on 3 cornerstones. One was how to make the city a spiritually, from a world-class perspective, a spiritual city. And the other side was how to make it a world-class tourism destination. And third, and most important aspect was the sustainability. It's not just about making cities smart. I think it's far more deeper than that. And that's what Ayodhya has been about, that, we transform the city, but we do it in a sustainable manner. So some of the statistics that you just spoke about in terms of infrastructure insertions that have taken place in the city, I think the overall perspective has been a more holistic approach which has been taken in its planning. Usually, Manisha, Indian cities have always been, catching up on infrastructure. The infrastructure is woefully inadequate, as we all know, and we discussed this on your show as well, on Urban Agenda. But here is a case that it has been a more holistic, a more futuristic approach about how to take care of things. And when you talk about the single-storied or 1.5-storied, maybe not so glamorous parts of the city, I think that in itself is the charm of an old city. And even here, when we were looking at how to retain the old historic historic core of Ayodhya. The intention was not that, oh, we need to improve infrastructure. So in the name of infrastructure, you come, break down structures, you just widen the roads and say, this is a modern city now. We wanted to retain the narrow streets, the alleyways, and yet bring about a character which brings that old world charm to it. So there's a lot that's gone into it, but I must say that it's not a single man's effort. I have to compliment the political leadership for the vision in the first place of wanting to do something like this and in such a fast track manner. Which Indian city has ever seen this in the past? I mean, we came into this project 2.5 years ago,
Right.
and today you are seeing the visuals that you are playing. And then, of course, the administrators, the city administrators and other bureaucrats who've really worked tirelessly to make this
Absolutely.
happen. And then, of course, our own consortium with Lee Associates and L&T Infrastructure. Everybody has worked hard to make this project come alive.
I mean, I've heard the stories and I hope to see that very, very soon. But the fact that everybody has been hands-on and working furiously, literally round the clock to make the city come alive before the consecration. Samujjawal Ghosh is with us. House of Abhinandan Lodha has taken big bets, and I was saying, actually telling the audience, maybe smart bets with Ayodhya. You've acquired 50 acres of land over the last few years, anticipating this multiplier effect of the Ram temple. Now people are scrambling to find land there and finding it extremely hard. So what, according to you, is the true potential of this shining new temple town, Samujjawal?
So, largely, as far as our land acquisition strategy is concerned, we usually look at places which are of great infrastructure, growth corridors, with characterized by naturally scenic landscapes, etc. And in alignment with this strategy, HOABL is set to channelize about 3,000 crores of investment in Uttar Pradesh, and it just happened that we were very bullish about the state specifically, and within that Ayodhya, right at the onset of our formation as an organization, and hence the stability of the government, the overall focus on Ayodhya, which is poised to become the spiritual capital of the world, kind of holds a special significance for us, and hence. The entire interest around Ayodhya was largely driven by the fact that we believe that the kind of numbers which we saw to begin with from a tourism perspective, where in 2021, about 3 odd lakh tourists were visiting Ayodhya, that number jumped to around 2.4 in 2022, and now we are expecting in the range of 4 to 5 crore. And with the global connectivity, new international airport, the railway station, etc., we just believe that overall this is going to be Ayodhya is going to be the epicenter of a lot of infrastructure, hospitality, healthcare, public transport, commercial districts, so on and so forth, and hence we could probably forecast what Ayodhya could be, and hence that became
Again,
a reason.
Samujjawal, I'm saying it again, great move. And I think that land parcel which Mr. Bachchan has picked up, 2 adjacent land parcels of 5,000 square feet each, which is 10,000 square feet, and registered it at a price of 15 crores, has in one shot taken the real estate average price of that market from in 2019, when the verdict came out. I mean, that city was ranging between 1,000 to 2,000 rupees per square feet, and now it's suddenly gone up to 15,000 rupees square feet. That's the kind of extreme excitement that there is. Mandeep,
Sure.
There is a reason why Taj has announced 2 hotels. Leela, as we saw in the shots, has bought out a 5-acre parcel for a 100-room luxury hotel in House of Abhinandan Lodha's mixed-use development. There's Oberoi, Marriott, Radisson. Everyone wants a bite of this big action. You know, the numbers projected are 3, 4, sometimes I hear 5 crore people will visit the city. But these are all the top-end chains, right? You will need masses of budget hotels as well. But land is already scarce. What are you reading? How are you reading the tea leaves?
So Manisha, thank you for inviting me to your show. It's very interesting times, I have to say, in more ways than one for the hospitality sector. And Ayodhya couldn't have come at a better time. Clearly, there's a lot of excitement with Ayodhya. Like you mentioned, everybody wants to be in Ayodhya. A lot of people have already made some first mover, have some first mover advantages. I think in India, we need more destinations. We need, for tourism to grow in the manner that it is expected to grow with the population size that we have and the way the economy is growing and the per capita incomes are going to grow. We do need fresh destinations, and Ayodhya is certainly one in the making. However, having said that, I think the issue that Ayodhya is likely to face is that hotel developments take a certain while before they are ready. As of now, there is very, very limited infrastructure. Ayodhya has just 200 branded rooms to cater to the numbers that we are talking about. Okay. That is lesser than probably the average size of one hotel in a reasonable city. Therefore, for the infrastructure to sort of develop to a level where we can cater to the number of tourists that are expected to be in Ayodhya, we're going to need some very rapid development. It's going to be, 3 or 4 years before all these hotels that we are talking about, actually start operating. And beyond the hotels, we're also going to need a fair amount of other social infrastructure. We're going to need for people to be able to stay there, for a certain period of time. Otherwise, it's just going to be
I agree that, we are talking about the numbers. How do you really welcome, 4 crore visitors every year in this city, despite the airport, despite everything, when you have 200 branded rooms and land is already skyrocketing? Samujjawal, from you, I want to understand, right? So 1,500 square feet, average prices have gone up to 6,000. Suddenly now, we have one registration which is at 15,000 rupees per square feet. So it's 900 to 1,000 rupees up now from 1,500. My question is this the benchmark? Or you're going to sell another 200 to 250 plots, right, later to individual owners? Is that the pricing that you're really looking at? That's what I'm saying, because that'll probably then just inflate the entire market. And do we need to do it?
I mean, the Ayodhya's pricing dynamics are pretty distinctive. I mean, it's a typical case of a national demand versus limited supply. So we went to the market and it has got all the makings of a blockbuster, and we are receiving demand across various parts of the country and the globe. And as the temple approaches its consecration, it's only getting far more frenzier by the day. The predominant demand has been, as I said, has been across India and even from consumer groups outside of the country. Essentially, what we get to see is that unencumbered land in Ayodhya, particularly in the vicinity of the temple influence zone, is a rarity. I mean, there is enough data now in the public domain where one is getting to see that in a recent government land auction, bidders were willing to pay 1.45 lakh per square meter for raw land, and that which almost is 60 crore per acre, which is which is reflective of the tenfold increase which has happened in the last 5 years. So yes, this is a very typical scenario where the entire culmination of a global tourism hotspot is driving the demand for quality real estate in that particular town.
Oh my God. So that's what I'm talking about, Mandeep, how are hotels going to make money? I mean, they're entering at a time and they're acquiring land extremely expensive. 15,000 rupees per square feet, if that's for plots, I'm sure larger land parcels which hotels need will be much higher priced. And, there have been some reports at some astronomical prices that 2 acres and 3 acres are being acquired for hospitality sector. So really, at the end of it, each one is sure that there are going to be 3 to 4 crore visitors in this city. That's what the math is being based on. Very quickly from you, Mandeep.
So clearly, I think these things will cool. The prices will cool off at some stage, and I think the government will also play a role, because we can't have just the upper upscale and luxury hotels. That's not the entire market there. There's a very, very significantly large market for the economy and the mid-scale hotels as well. And I think that is where the government will have to come in and ensure that land is available for development for the mid-scale and the economy hotels to be able to be, viable. At those kind of land prices, they may not just be viable, and that beats the purpose.
15,000
You want
rupees per
Ayodhya to
square
be popular.
feet. Absolutely. I mean, that's an amazing point you've read, that, viability is a big question mark. And as players go in later, probably they'll have to shell out even more in that frenzy. 15,000 rupees per square feet in Ayodhya for land. I mean, that's comparable to some places, prime locations in even large cities. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with one question, which is, master plan. Ayodhya has a fantastic master plan for 2031, saying that it's going to make it a global city, or a vision of becoming a global city. But master plans in India really haven't taken off for any other cities. So how are we so sure? And Dikshu will have to answer that. Stay with us.
You're invited to imagine what's next. What the next view you wake up to will be. Where your next adventures will start from. Your perfect space to entertain. And your sanctuary to unwind in. As you begin to imagine your new place, we'll be here to help you find it. Because nothing compares to what's next. Sotheby'sRealty.com.
With just days to go for the grand inauguration of the Ayodhya Ram Mandir by the Prime Minister, we are looking at economic and investment potential of the transformed temple city of Ayodhya. Well, I'm going to go back to Samujjawal Ghosh, my guest, whose company owns 50 acres of land there and is already making waves. Samujjawal, what would you caution people? I mean, there is euphoria. Sometimes, as we all know who've been in real estate for the longest time and track the sector, too fast a rise is not good for the market as a whole, right? And people are already asking, should we go and buy? Should we invest? Everyone wants to jump on the bandwagon. What is the caution one needs to use when buying something in Ayodhya?
I think there are two parts to it. As I had mentioned earlier, clear title, unencumbered land is absolutely scarce. So as far as my advice to the retail investors are concerned, I think number one is that only buy from credible developers. Clear title land is extremely valuable. And that is probably the reason why somebody of the stature of Mr. Bachchan bought with us at that kind of pricing. So that's point number one. And I guess the second part is buy with a long time horizon in mind. Do not think of short-term returns or any speculative returns coming out of this purchase.
Okay.
Think of this as a heirloom. Think of intergenerational wealth, and hold your investment for at least 10, 15 years.
Okay.
Then you
so
will
have
be,
that perspective, and Mandeep has already told us, wait for the frenzy to calm down. Don't jump into it. My final question, Dikshu, very quick reaction. I know that you say that authorities, the government, everyone's doing a fantastic job, but that's because there is a temple. We are under a global spotlight right now. But in general, this excitement, when it fizzles down, we don't have a great track record of implementing our master plans. And here we want to make Ayodhya a global city by 2031. How confident are you this time around?
I am confident this time, Manisha, because there's a difference. The difference is not just the will and the manner in which the whole thing is unveiling itself, but also very importantly, in this case, there was a vision plan that was created. A lot of our master plans for cities in India, unfortunately, are designed or created much like Mondrian's abstract drawings where, sitting in ivory towers, people decide which part of the city will be painted red, which means it's commercial.
Okay, unfortunately, I've run out of time, I'm being told, but what you're saying is that this time the planning, the infrastructure, the budgeting, everything has preceded the implementation, so we have higher hopes. Mandeep Lamba, Dikshu Kukreja and Samujjawal Ghosh. I have to wrap out now, but thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. We will keep the discussion or have another discussion. This is not a topic which is going away anytime soon. All that I can wrap out with is just days to go for the grand inauguration. We are looking at it, we're just going to say that what is critical is that the city must hold up to its promise of development, or else the city will struggle to welcome the 3 to 4 crore plus visitors every year that it's aiming to attract. Thank you so much for joining me.
You're invited to imagine what's next. What the next view you wake up to will be. Where your next adventures will start from. Your perfect space to entertain. And your sanctuary to unwind in. As you begin to imagine your new place, we'll be here to help you find it. Because nothing compares to what's next. Sotheby'sRealty.com